Hey, it's Anthony Meisner. I came to bring you your luxury stats update for the month of July. Let's kind of look back and see what's happening. So this is kind of a new thing we've been putting together, right? So I just wanted to give you kind of what to look at and where. Um, let's just kind of start with number of sales, right? I think this is a good one to kind of look at. This is stacked year over year. So you can see 2022 when we started tracking the data to currently, and you can really see, the increase in luxury activity. And, we're defining luxury here as 2 million or more. And I have it broken down by price point if you hang with us. If you look at it this way, this is by price range and how much is selling each year, year over year. So this is like cumulative for the whole year, right? So if we look at 2 million, 22, we sold 79, 23, we sold 106, 24, we sold 86. So even though 23 had a lot more sales in the 2 million range, you can see kind of some of the inverse of that as you get into the higher price points. Let's just even take a look at 4 million, for example. We sold 10, 13, 8, and 9 already this year, right? And so when you're looking at 3 million, you can kind of see the same behavior where we're halfway through the year. Our numbers are way outpacing what they were a year ago. 2.5 and over, also 31 sales for 6 months versus 39 all year last year. I think that's really worth noting. The other part of the market that has changed pretty dramatically is the 6 million and over market, that ultra luxury market. We usually don't see a ton of sales up here, and really pre-2021, this didn't exist, right? I mean, back before the pandemic, we really didn't sell hardly anything over 5 million at all. And so this is a pretty new emerging market, but you can see, we did have one sale, 14.5 million, which is really cool this year. But you can see, between 6 and 8 million, lots more sales taking place this year than we did have in years past. Last year in 2024, we definitely had some higher price sales. 2023, you can see there was a handful of sales over 10 million even. But so far this year, this has been a much more robust market and more selling here again as we get into that ultra luxury price points. Now, City of Boulder, as far as how long it takes to sell, days in MLS for all of these units, I broke it down by month because I think this is an important one to understand. We're so used to seasonality in the real estate market that we don't think too much about it as far as how that may differ in luxury. And it's very different in luxury, right? Because you can see that, yes, has it been faster in the spring market this year? Sure, it's been a lot faster maybe than it has been in years past. But realistically, we're bouncing around and we're kind of all over the place outside of maybe January, that month one, where it's very reasonable. So I think you can really see that. You can definitely start to tell just what's happening and how fast the market's going. It also doesn't seem to matter a whole lot outside of maybe the very end of the year or the January month of when you sell luxury real estate. The other thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about is days in MLS by price point. So you can see these numbers here just as a good example, that 2 million to 2.5 or 2.5 to 3 million. Look at the green numbers compared to where we were a year ago. 2.5 to 3 million has been selling a little bit faster this year I shouldn't say a little bit, a lot faster than it was in years past. This tells me a lot though, because you see so much inventory on for so long, but the average is still 60 days, right? It might be a little bit longer than the average for the market. Let's just assume that, the market's going about 50% faster than that in some ways. This does take longer to sell luxury real estate, but also if it's not priced right, if it's sitting for months and months and months and months, that is a different problem than what we're seeing in the average part of the market, right? If you're priced right and it takes 60 days to sell, so what? It takes 60 days. I mean, and this is an average too, so it could take a little bit longer than that. But I think the message that you're seeing here in so many ways is if it's in really good condition and it's priced right, it does sell fast. And that's still what we're feeling in the luxury marketplace. 6+ million. Now, the ultra luxury is going to act very differently, right? We had that gorgeous house at 14.5 million that sold, and it still took 180 days to sell because sometimes there's just not a buyer looking in the area, right? So when you get into ultra luxury, you're looking and actively going to seek a buyer. They may not even be looking at the time, or if they are, they're very picky. And you can see a lot of stuff that sold a year ago, same thing, over 100 days, almost every single time, or close to 100 days in MLS. The one thing that's kind of throwing this off a little bit as you can see in 23, a lot of people had these listed. They got the deal done off market. They put it into the MLS for one day. You saw it in 2022 as well. They want the recognition for it. So it's very hard to tell how long some of these were actually being marketed, because based off the MLS data, you're getting a very low days in MLS. Although, that one they went for 13 million, it sold in like 5 days or 10 days. So you can see it fluctuates quite a bit. I do think it's worth noting, though, this year specifically with what we've seen, these homes have sold very fast if they're priced right. And so if the value's there and they're worth $7.5 million or $7 million, they truly are selling relatively quickly because there are people looking for that product type. That's a good takeaway. This one is cumulative, and you can see it over time, how average sales price versus original list price is going. And this is calculated original sales price, right? So this is before price drops and all that. It has really kind of tapered down over time as, there's been more and more listings coming on the market, right? As the inventory increases, you're going to get less for the sale. The easier way to kind of note this is you can see a lot of these months we're experiencing $200,000-$300,000 in price drops, right? We had a very good June, but other than that, this one is really starting to taper off. And that's just due to the amount of inventory on the marketplace, right? So more competition, buyers have more to choose from, they can negotiate harder. So you're feeling that in the marketplace. This one is really here for you by price range. This is new listings. This info is directly out of InfoSparks. So you can jump in here and you can see, at 2 million, how many listings or new listings are coming on the market. And this is just for the month of June. And if you look at 2025, we had 142 new listings come on the market across all of Boulder County. So that one's worth noting. You can really see that's a rolling 12-month average. If you look at it on the bottom there, you can see just how much competition you have. Each one of these is a price range, so you can sort of tell that. This is as we go up, you can start to see really once you get into that ultra luxury, there's just not very many houses on the market, right? So your competition at 7 million or 8 million is all of these homes, right? So this is a very different market view than we're used to seeing. Now, active units on the market, this is a stagnant view of how many units are available. So from 2 to 2.5 million, you can see that right now there's 34 homes. It's more inventory than we've had over the last year, right? So that year over year view would be 31. So we've had 3 more homes on the market. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it is 10% more inventory. When you don't have a lot more buyers, this is what you're experiencing. So hopefully this helps, so you can pass this along by price range to your clients. If you look at pendings and under contracts, this is a rolling 12-month average as well. So when we're listing, say 132 homes at 2 million, we get 80 of them under contract in a year. We have a lot more inventory coming on the market, which is really piling up the active units than what we have buyers for. And you can really see here, once you get to that, 6+ million market, just how many actual pendings there are. So you can see lots of under contracts over the last 12 months, but you can see just these are very small numbers. Most of them are single digit numbers, in fact. So keep your eyes on this. Maybe it'll help set some expectations and help you guys, go out and actively find your buyers, right, in this price point here. Closed listings, this is kind of how many get to closing. So if we had 80 go under contract at 2+ million, you had 69 of them closed so far this year. So definitely worth noting and worth watching. So I think that's kind of interesting. Don't forget supply. You can see here 5 months of inventory at 2 million, and it really starts to creep up, right? 2.5 to 3 million. We got 8.7 months of inventory, and you can see each price range there as well. When we put it all cumulatively, it definitely shows a different story. This isn't super helpful over the last 12 months where you can see this. It bounces around way too much. There's way too many inconsistencies in the ultra luxury market, but the data is here for you just to help if you need it. Showings per listing. Luxury has a very different set of showings than what you're used to seeing. If we're experiencing 4.2 showings in the general market in the city of Boulder, we would be experiencing 3.2 at 2 million. And then surprisingly, 2.5 million, we had more showings than that. But pretty much all other price ranges, we're talking 1 or 2 showings a month in so many ways. So you're really not getting a ton of showing traffic. Showing traffic's really hard to gauge at 6+ million because there are not too many showings that take place. There's lots of previews. the data may be inconsistent. Less data points makes it much harder to show the trend. This is sales price to original list price versus days in MLS. And so this data is really here for you to show how much you're going to take a price hit if you are on the market too long. And this is just 2 to 2.5 million. So you can see that if you can get it under contract in the first month, you're much more likely to get closer to list price. People are taking pretty big discounts by about, day 35, and it kind of trends over time where, you're closer to that 95% for a while, but you get over 100 days in MLS and you really start to feel the downward pressure. We have it for all the other price ranges. You can see it here. It's labeled out on the graph, but if you're on the market for over 100 days, that's where we really start to struggle. You're going to see that in most of these price points, 3 million to 3.5 or to 4.5 million, put it all in one chart. It gets more extreme because you have less buyers and more competition. And then if you got 5 to that 15 million range, obviously the one that went for 14.5 million was way closer to asking price, way harder to find that right buyer. But so many of them still, we're really trying to come up with a value here. I think the message when you're at 5 to 15 million is the more accurately you price it, the more likely you are to get closer to a full price offer. You can see everybody getting these offers at 94, 92, 91%. They were pretty early on in their under contract numbers, but they may have just been overpriced and they actually got somebody to come make an offer. So I think that was important. Also, if you need sales by price range for each year, I've got them here for you. You can see 22, 23, 24, and 25 so far, what's happened. So hopefully this is helpful as far as luxury goes. Always happy to chat through this with you too. So please give me a buzz. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll catch you soon. Bye.